I'm Allie. I came out after 20 years of marriage, and I have 3 kids.
I'm Melissa, and I have 2 kids, and I came out at 37 after an 11-year marriage.
This podcast is about coming out later and the struggles and victories that come with it.
When coming out feels like the end of the world, but it's really just the beginning.
This is the Lesbian Chronicles.
Welcome to the Lesbian Chronicles.
Yes, here we are live.
Yay.
I know.
Not Zooming, and I'm not out of the country.
No.
You're not in New York crying on the sidewalk.
I know, that's true. I'm going to be back in New York crying on the sidewalk in
this
a few
weekend.
days.
I'm just a glutton for punishment.
I'm a glutton for punishment, and I'm realizing I'm kind of an easy cry when it comes
really?
to her. Yeah, I'm not in any other way in my life, but when it comes to her, I'm an easy cry.
I'm going to give you a tip on crying that
Okay.
I recently started
Tell me.
because sometimes I feel like I have to cry, but I can't.
Tell me.
So you go on YouTube and you like search for sad parts of movies, like the end of Beaches.
Okay.
Still Magnolias.
Yeah.
Like when Julia Roberts dies.
Okay.
Like that's what gets me going. And so
Okay.
it releases the cry.
Oh, so you preemptively get the cry out.
Yes.
Okay.
So then it doesn't hit me in like a really bad
just thought of
moment,
something
like
like
someone, like the garbage man doesn't wave it back at me, and then it hits me that like I've been ignored, and like I start bawling on the side.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
So
I was in a meeting today for work, and this woman that I'm meeting with, who I love, like I know her well, and I could see in her face she was about to start crying. And she like paused for a long time, and I'm like watching her. I'm holding eye contact, like waiting, because I know that look, because I get that look sometimes. And she did get emotional, but I watched her like in live real time, like try to like bring
and
it
you know what
in.
would have triggered it if you would just been like, "It's okay."
I didn't do
She
it's
would have
okay.
been like, "Boom!"
I didn't do it's okay, but I was like, I hear everything you're saying. Like, take a minute.
Oh God.
But it was like, and I hate when women cry. Like.
A woman crying, I will do anything.
I know anything. What do you need?
What do you need?
What do you need?
Do you need to get married? Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go to the courthouse right now. Anyway, but what's more exciting than crying women is that we have Lindsay joining us.
Yes.
You have your own crying woman as
We
a
have
guest.
our own. I'm sure Lindsay's shed a lot of tears in this process.
I cry like 12 times a day.
I still cry like 12. That's funny. Where do you live, Lindsay?
I live in San Diego, California.
Oh, sweet. Okay, I love San Diego.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Which, feels like right now a tropical rainforest. Like there is some extreme weather happening over the last week. And
that's right.
It's
Like
wild.
for the first time in 25 years, there's a hurricane on the coast of California.
Something like that. And then there's been just like a brutal heat wave the last week.
Yeah.
And it's like my whole life has turned into like this all consuming, like, how do I not let my baby melt into a puddle of baby?
Let me ask you if I was just having a conversation. My best friend lives in Los Angeles, and she's always trying to like figure out a way that like we would eventually live in California. I could totally see us eventually moving to California. But one of the things that like keeps me from Southern California is that I love rain. Like I love a big storm. I love lightning. I love thunder. I love all of it.
Same.
And she was like, well, you're not going to get that in LA, but you're going to get it for sure. Like if you go a little bit north. And she's like, maybe Santa Barbara might get some rain, but I don't know. Does San Diego get rain? No.
Not really. I mean, it's raining right now, actually.
But that's very
surprisingly,
rare.
but it's super rare, yeah. So, Northern California, Pacific Northwest, that would be your jam.
But even Northern California, it's rare. Like that's where Tom is from, and when he moved out to Florida, he was like, "This is insane! Like there's so much thunder. Like that would be like a once a year occurrence."
Okay, got it.
So
like we get excited.
I do too. I love a good storm.
Yeah, I love a good storm,
especially in Florida. If you can sit on the beach or the balcony and like watch the heat lightning.
Yeah.
So fun.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have Lindsay all the way from San Diego. And Lindsay, will you give us like just a quick coming out?
What's your coming out story?
What's your coming out story?
Well,
and then let us interrupt you a lot with questions.
That's what this whole podcast is, right?
Right. It is a series of interruptions. A series of annoying interruptions.
It's annoying interruptions. That's very accurate.
That's very accurate.
Well, I was raised in a very small Christian conservative type upbringing in a small town called Corcoran, California, which is in Central California. Very, very Christian mother, Christian family, Republican family, all that. So I didn't really know a lot much outside of that, and didn't know that being gay was like an option. I just thought it was, something people who went to hell did.
Yeah.
And,
They were
like,
just okay with going to hell.
They were just okay.
Yeah,
They
just like,
just said,
like,
screw it.
Ride the fire
like,
coal
bless,
down.
bless their hearts, and just kind of the signs were there. Didn't really ever acknowledge them or see them because they just kind of flew right by me as I, went to church. And finally, went off to college. It was a liberal arts school in LA called Occidental College. Started kind of like opening my mind to the world and other people, and started like kind of doing some self-assessment.
Started noticing hot girls.
Yeah.
Started having some weird dreams that I couldn't figure out.
Exactly.
And anyway, it still like wasn't, on my radar, on my gaydar. I dated a boy who was actually from my hometown but had moved to San Diego. We dated for a long, long time. We got married, did the whole thing, and it was just like, even the marriage was like, not to say that I didn't love him, because I did, but it was like, let's live together so we can tell my folks that we live together, because we're lying about it and that makes me feel bad. Like,
Yeah.
that whole thing. Maybe I'm not enjoying sex because God is punishing me for like living in sin with this man, and just totally inadvertently lying to myself and everybody around me, just not thinking that it was an option, all the while like having my issues with alcohol and like hooking up with girls, like drunken hookups, and like not really seeing it for what it was. And then it wasn't until I met someone who I actually was like, oh shoot, I love this person. Like, I have feelings of love, and now I have to reckon with this, and it was like a total crossroads of like, am I going to stay in this marriage, continue hurting myself and the person I love, and, appease my family, or am I going to go down this route and like try to love this person and see how that goes? And
was she out and gay, or was she also?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. She was a music friend of mine that eventually became my bandmate. And, she didn't want to get in that mix. It's messy and like, dealing with this straight girl turned gay and all that stuff. So she was just kind of like, I'll be over here like when
you figure
all that stuff out.
But was it like, okay, this is your friend who's in this band, you're friends, and then it's like you're both having these feelings, or is it like, talk to me about that middle time?
It was messy, just like a definite like attraction, but I think it was like attraction steeped in like kind of sadness.
Yeah.
Like she was going through her own stuff, and she has bipolar 1, and so she was kind of reckoning with the beginnings of that, and sort of like relationships that didn't work out in her life because of that. And I think we just kind of found each other in a sad state where we're like, you want to just get together and like get high and like write songs, and like that was like the foundation of our relationship, which
is really healthy.
Absolutely.
No
no
surprise it didn't work out, but
Wait,
we were
okay.
we were what each other needed at the time, I guess.
Yeah,
it's
kind of your jumping off point. So
messy. Yeah.
Was
and
it volatile too, in that it was like passionate, of like break up, get back together, texting 50 times.
Yeah, kind of. It was like, we can't do this. Oh, but do you want to come over? But no, we can't do this.
Yeah.
But like, we would just find ways to like come back to each other. And, at the time I was so massively like in love with this person that I thought, it just showed how like passionate and strong the love was. But it was just like, we were both just really emotionally fucked up.
Yeah, at that state, at that small window.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're still friends to this day. It just didn't, work out. And it was hard to reckon with, like, do I love women or do I love this human who happens to be a woman? I couldn't really figure that out until I did move on to other people. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm a lesbian. Full-fledged lesbian at your service. But yeah, it was really messed up. Like, I really broke my ex-husband's heart. We had been together for so long. He was, a really great guy. We had sort of like raised each other into adulthood. And, you know, we were each other's people, and then suddenly he didn't have me. And,
Yeah.
you know, that really messed with him. And
you.
I didn't, and me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, I took on a lot of shame for that, like for hurting him so badly.
Right.
And someone I cared so much about. I didn't speak with my mother for like 5-6 years.
Wow.
After that. Yeah. Because she just, like, when I came out, she just wasn't having it. And we just, it was.
What was her reaction?
That's the whole thing. She kind of like Scarlett O'Hara on her couch in her house.
God,
Went to her
like,
fainting couch.
Exactly.
Yeah, she was like fainting couch, and then my sister actually came out for me because I couldn't like say the words.
That's what I did.
And yeah, my sister came out to my mom and to my dad for me because I couldn't say the words.
Oh, I do
my
love a
parents were
sister.
split up.
Yes.
Oh, she's so good. She's so
Yeah.
good. And she's queer too, but she kind of just like didn't deal with it. And then until after I did, it was like she let me do my thing first. She's so great.
What's the age difference?
3 years.
Oh,
She's
it's
older.
exactly my sister
she's
and I,
older,
and
okay.
mine's
Oh,
older
really?
too. Yeah, there is something about my sister, same, like she wants to just, and doesn't care what my parents think that much at all. Like she's like, who cares if they suck if they suck, they don't if they don't. Like I have you.
Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
it's not that simple.
It's not that simple,
Your
but
parents suck.
I always cared so much what my parents thought in a way my sister just never did.
Yeah.
She just lives her life how she wants to live her life. But okay, so you told them.
I told them. My mom did the drama thing, and you know, this was like when social media was like starting to like be more in our lives and stuff. And I was like, she's just gonna see a picture of me with this woman because we're in a band together. People take pictures of us like at shows and stuff. Like someone's gonna catch us at a PDA moment, and it's all gonna be like downhill from there.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, we got to get it out of the way. We got to tell her. And did that. We tried really hard to, like, I would say both of us tried really hard to figure out some kind of a common ground, but it just like, it would always end in these like huge, like parking lot fights and like Bed Bath and Beyond, you know, like it was just like come to like a head where I was just like, we can't do this. Like, if you're not going to like, you know, accept me for who I am, like, it's not going to work because then I'm not going to be able to get to who I am, you know?
But what was her problem? Like, she didn't like the coming out process for someone who's been married is super messy and complicated. She wasn't down for all that mess. She wanted you just to be out, gay, and ready. You're the woman. Like, she wasn't.
Yeah, she was. After I came out, it was fine. You know,
Okay.
she just we moved in together like lesbians do, and you know, we started our whole band thing and went down that road, which was actually had its own challenges because I think maybe I want to say just like a couple years into dating, she had another manic episode and was hospitalized. So our whole relationship went down into the like caretaker role where I suddenly became like very like mothering to her because I had to, you know, be that person that was taking care of her after she got out of the hospital. So that was like, it became less about, oh, I came out and more about like, we have this huge like mental health issue in our lives, you know, that became like the central point.
Did that kind of prevent you from processing a lot of that stuff with coming out?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I was just really devastated to have lost my mom, you know, in the process. I was really devastated to have hurt my husband so bad. And then here I am, this young, in my 20s girl who's dealing with very like serious, you know, adult things like hospitalizations and like, what do you do with this person who, and like, I had never, you know, been around anybody who had severe mental illness before. So I was learning as I went, and I was totally, you know, giving myself over to it and felt myself shrinking down in this moment in time where like I was just about to, you know, blossom. And then, you know, suddenly I'm in a caretaker position. It was really, really hard.
And I guess too,
I don't know.
it's like you can't, I don't know, like you almost like, for me, it became, I came out and then I'm thinking, I'm embarrassed that I gave up such solid, and you shouldn't be, but I'm saying I felt a lot of shame around with my catalyst. I gave up these great people, these great humans,
totally.
and now I'm with this person who's like totally not even in my wheelhouse of human beings that I've ever spent
I remember
time
thinking,
with.
like, how did I go 14 years in a relationship and not have this level of fights?
I never had any fighting.
And like,
Yeah.
My brain couldn't comprehend
And
it.
I'm just thinking, why did I give up the easy safe to be with someone who's this unstable?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, God, is this my new life? Just instability and partying. Like, it's just, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there was like a very clear moment. I remember when I was in the process of leaving my husband at the time. We were like separated. I was living in some like random shoebox of a room I found on Craigslist. And the one night I just got so overwhelmed with anxiety that I was like, I can't do this. I have to go back to him. I have to, like, I'm just going to go the safe route. Like, I can't deal with this. And it was like, 1 a.m. or something. And I drove down the street, across the neighborhood to where we had lived, where he still lives. And I saw like the door was like flung wide open and he was like passed out on the couch, like from drinking. I'm supposing like we drink a lot. And, I was just like, you know what, no matter what happens, like I can't go back to that either. Like I can't be like, I'm making this person miserable in my, figuring myself out. Like he's obviously got his own stuff to deal with. But I just like looked at that open door and I was like, that's your life that you're going to step back into. If you're like, this isn't necessarily the safe route just because it's the most familiar one,
That's so true.
Yeah. What an amazing
so
metaphor.
I know.
Oh my God. Like if that wouldn't have happened, I probably would have parked the car, walked in,
Yeah.
The fact that I could see him from the street in that chair
Prevented you.
and not even get out of my car made me turn around and like get the guts to like go through into the next part of my life. Yeah.
I love what you said too about just because it's familiar doesn't make it safe.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's so
But
true.
was he okay?
I know. Was he?
Yeah. It's fine. I mean, that unfortunately, that was like, alcohol was like a staple in our lives back then. I'm hoping that's not still a staple in his life, but it's certainly not still a staple in my life. Thank God. And it took that, I think, to get away from it.
Yeah. I think that's common for a lot. I mean, I used alcohol as a coping mechanism during that time, and I didn't even realize to what degree.
For sure.
And he would match me on what we drank. And fun fact, I can drink more than a man that weighs 75 more pounds than me.
Right?
So it's I think that's really common, and it's something that people don't quite realize. Like when you need to be drunk to be intimate, it's not good.
Not a good sign.
No, or just to like deal with your life. A lot of that was, we're just getting out of college in our 20s and the party town and like just what people do at that age. But then as we got married and kind of started getting into more of adulthood, I was just like, this can't be it. Like, this can't be the thing that we just do,
Yeah.
And so I'm so thankful to have gotten out of that.
Where is he now? Do you still communicate with him or?
We're like a once or twice a year kind of text here and there kind of thing. I think he moved to Texas. And I really, really hope he's happy. I hope that there will come a time where he understands like that I had to do that, like it didn't have anything to do with him.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time when men finally do move on and they're kind of like loved in the right way, they see.
Right.
And then they appreciate it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tell me,
I really hope that.
Where is the catalyst now? You said your friends, like, are not where local, like, where are you guys friends? Your friends, or you just like keep in touch? Like, is she part of your life in a big way?
She actually moved right before the pandemic back to Colorado to be closer to her family.
Okay.
So we see each other when she comes and visits. We do some shows together, like here and there, one-offs for like people who were our super fans back in the day. So yeah, I would say she's more like a sister now. She's still definitely like, I think we're a big part of each other's lives because of everything that we've gone through together, but it doesn't feel romantic like it used to feel. I feel so like released from the grip that relationship had on me, and I think that's because I've found like what an actual like good, solid, healthy relationship should feel like. And so I don't miss that, like, oh my God, like what if they leave me? What if they don't love me? You know, like all that insecurity from that first relationship. Like, ugh, I'm
I
just
know, it's
so glad to
exhausting.
be beyond it. It's so exhausting.
Yeah. Talk about what your relationship is like now, like how you met and all that.
hmm So it's so weird. Audrey, who's my wife now, I met her exactly at that same time when I was sort of like coming out, finding my own new set of friends, because all my friends were my husband's friends. So I was like basically like starting from scratch. And I was like, I don't know if this relationship with this girl is going to work out. Like, I definitely need to find community, which I was lucky enough to do through the music scene and also through basketball. I played a lot of basketball when I first graduated college. And my wife, Audrey, it was somebody I had met through the rec leagues playing basketball.
Oh, okay.
And then come to find out, she, because this is how lesbians work, was like in the same friend group that Veronica was at the time, the girl that I was like head over heels for. So when it came time to like not play basketball and just hang out, I would realize like this girl was coming around and part of this friend group that I was kind of like immersing myself into. I was like a little lesbian orphan. I was like, somebody take me in.
There's our show title.
Lesbian
Orphan.
Lesbian orphan. I mean, literally, like my mom was nowhere to be found. Like I just was like, I need people. And so we just grew to be really good friends that happened to play basketball together. She was with somebody else at the time. I mean, I was like, deer in the headlights to this other girl. So like, I didn't think of it like as a potential. No, I was just like, she's a cool chick. I love to play basketball with her. Like, I just thought she was a rad person. And then, fast forward 3.5 years down the road, right as, me and this other girl were breaking up, we started hanging out more. She had just broke up with her girlfriend, which, it was like a bad situation too for her. So she was just like really sad. And you mentioned like you hate to see women crying.
Yes.
That was seriously like what did it for me. Like we went out to eat dinner and, just like total friends, not thinking anything of it. And then she starts like, and she's like a tough chick, right? So she like starts crying. She's like letting me see her be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, hell no. I was like, no one's allowed to make her sad.
Yeah.
And then I was like, how do I ensure that like nobody's ever going to make her sad? And then I was like, I could do it.
Enter the lesbian orphan.
Like, I will protect your heart. And then just kind of like from there, like the energy between us like changed a little bit. And like, we were kind of like both feeling like some flirty vibes. And it became like a whole weird thing because now it looks like I'm dating my ex-girlfriend's friend, when to me it looked like this is this person that has been friends with me from the jump through the basketball world and who just so happened to be friends with my ex-girlfriend. So it was like kind of messy. And again, didn't want to be in that position where I was like hurting people, but also knew that I needed to go somewhere that would be more of a healthy situation for me. And yeah, like, it just naturally fell into place. Kind of, one day she was like, do you want to go on a date? And I was like, I kind of like, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Cute.
And like we were just like this could like totally ruin our friendship, or this could like be everything we want, and it luckily turned out to be everything we want. And she's like so stable, she's so great, and I never have that insecurity of like, is she gonna love me or leave me or whatever, So it just was so different, and I think so rooted in foundation of friendship that like we didn't have to do the whole like interview dating kind of thing. We just like already really knew each other inside and out and had already been through like so many ups and downs together from a friend perspective that it just like kind of naturally evolved. And yeah, we got married in 2016, which I can't believe is like so long ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great. Like we are each other's people because, her family is kind of similar. Like I've never met them. We've been together, all the time, have a baby.
Yeah.
And I still have not met them. Yeah. So
do they
it's like
see her and not you, or do they see neither of you?
They see her because she has a niece and nephew situation over there in Texas that she doesn't want to mess up because she loves them so much. And they live with them. So it's like kind of hard to put up a really thick boundary. So, she tries to just like keep it civil, keep it moving, and that way she can still have her relationship with the kids. But they're getting older, so things will probably change, I think, as they become adults. But yeah, we really kind of had to hunker down and be each other's like family, because things were. We didn't have family.
Do you still not communicate with your mom?
So my mom ended up dying in 2017 because.
Sorry, Lindsay.
Yeah, it's like I've lived like 1,000 lives in different directions.
You really have.
She got diagnosed with brain cancer in 2013, I want to say, and was like literally in the ER with like a terrible headache, and that's kind of how the whole process started, where they found the tumors and decided they had to do like surgery and treatment and all that. And my sister and I, who had like not spoken with her for the longest time, were like, we had to make a decision, so we're like, do we go? So we went, and then, they gave her like maybe 2-year prognosis of time. So we did what we could, we tried what we could, but like the relationship never really was healed while she was alive, I think. She kind of dug deeper into the religion because I think
she wanted to leave you with that.
Well, and she is dying, so like, what do you turn to when you're facing your own mortality? And I think it gave her a lot of comfort to like really dig deep into like her religion, which I'm glad in like a weird way that she was able to find solace in that. But it sucked for our relationship, because she still didn't really want anything to do with me being gay or me being married or any of that. So
she just could not reconcile it.
Oh
no.
Yeah.
And it's not because she wanted to. It's just like that's the hold that I think this, like toxic Christianity has on people. And
even
it's
though
like
both of you, I mean, it's you and your sister.
Yeah.
Like you're willing.
I mean, that's
to...
just it. Like that, like religion, man. It just like digs its heels in, and people they fear the afterlife more than the current life. You know?
It's true.
So
it's true because that's the eternal part, and. I'm looking at it as like she's worried for her little girl's souls and like is she going to see them again, and her death is like imminent, it's not like this imagined thing in the far off future. It's like she's dying, so she only has so much time to save our souls,
Yeah.
So that's how she kind of saw it, and that's really unfortunate. But I've made like a lot of peace with it after the fact. If you want to hear another part of my life is I've actually begun like communicating with her from beyond. I don't know how like woo woo you guys
I'm
are
here
willing
for
to
it.
get.
I'm here for it.
I used to do the Ouija board,
I have a friend who does readings, so I'm kind of into it. Yeah, like she's pretty spot on usually. So tell us how that goes.
It's so wild. So like the pandemic was going on, and we were going through our like infertility stuff. We did like 5 IUIs that didn't work out. And I was just like really anxious from like the insurrection and the pandemic and everything that was going on. I was like, I got to get a hold of my anxiety. It was like off the charts. So I started like meditating daily, started really putting a lot of intentionality into like my mental, emotional well-being. And it was like helping, and I was feeling like a lot better. And suddenly I just started having this like sense of her, like an energetic sense. It's really hard to describe, but it kind of like can move my body in a way. Like I could get like movement that felt like it was not me moving my body. It was like somebody else. And then I put it together that it was my mom. And so my mom came to me and, we essentially like reconciled through this like spiritual
energy
process.
Wow.
Yeah, through energy. And it was trippy, dude. Like I'm not even here to make people believe me because it's really like, as I say it, it sounds like so outlandish to myself, but it happened. Partially was like a horror movie, was so scary because when I didn't understand what was going on, it really freaked me out because I had other people come through too. Like my friend's son came through, some of my friend's parents came through, and like kind of started using me as this like person to like deliver messages.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. Like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Hey, excuse me.
Yeah, I was like, I
You
just wanted to reconnect with my mom. I was
Spirits,
like,
the
here
vessel is closed.
yeah. And it's like totally freaked my wife out. You know, here we are trying to have a baby, and she's like, are we going to have to like put you somewhere because like you're getting weird, you're talking weird. And it was something that I definitely had to like learn how to kind of dial in, and it's like a lot less intense now. So I feel like I'm more on the ground than I was. But yeah, to connect to that point, we were able to sort of reconcile, and I was able to sort of get that closure and that peace and almost like that apology that I needed for her to be able to say, like, I was trapped in this framework of thinking that happens to people like humans.
Yeah.
But here on the other side, you know, the spiritual energy, divine energy, whatever you want to call it, is just love. Like, it's just about love. And I'll tell you, like, from that moment on, it was like someone whacked the ketchup bottle and all the fertility stuff just started moving.
Oh, wow.
And
oh, man.
that's right around the time that I got pregnant. So it was just like, it was totally wild. And I want to believe that it was like totally facilitated by like my mom.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like the gift back of like the olive branch.
Yeah, it was like she was like, here, I'm here for this. I'm sorry I couldn't, you know, wrap my brain around this before, but now I'm here for you and I'm with you every step of the way. And she like honestly has been like in every manner, like even financially, we couldn't have afforded to go through these steps without the money that I was able to receive from after she died. You know, like just every step of the way, it was like something was
another gift from her.
Yeah, reminding me of her or something like that. Yeah. So
what a cool story.
That is really incredible. That's powerful. And even thinking about like on her dying, you know, in that time, like you said, her trying to choose between, do I reconcile with God? I'm about to, you know, meet my maker, or reconcile with my children. That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then coming to terms with it afterwards. Yeah. And being like, you know, of course there's still times where I'm like, I miss my mom. Like I wish my mom was here to like meet my daughter and, you know, all those things. But sometimes I'm like, is my daughter my mom now?
Oh,
like,
wow.
'cause I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, all
It
the
is.
reincarnation stuff and just like, it's, you know, I just think like we're all just like little soul bits, you
It's all
know,
full
pieces
circle.
of the same soul, you know,
Right.
and it's like we get now a new chance to kind of do the mother-daughter relationship again in a different way.
How old is your baby?
9 months.
Oh, 9
Oh,
months is
my
such a cute
goodness.
age.
That's brand new.
Yeah.
And you've been married since
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah. So it
Okay.
took us many, many, many years of trying and figuring it out, but we actually did it. Yeah. We did
Yeah.
it through embryo donation. I don't know how much you guys know about that. I actually think this is a great platform to share about it because we didn't know anything
Yeah, tell
about
us
it.
about
And
Tell us.
it was only because we had friends that did it that we learned about it. But so we had tried the IUI method, which I don't know. It's when they take donor sperm or known donor sperm and they try to time it with your ovulation and get you pregnant that way, right? With your own egg. And that wasn't working. We did it until we ran out of sperm and then we're like, fuck,
now
I guess
what?
we're done. Because IVF was where, you know, they take out your egg, fertilize it with the donor sperm and then put it back, put the embryo back in. And that's like $20,000. Like we just were like, we can't, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Like we can't even try that. So there's this other option called embryo donation where it's like, say a family has been dealing with their own fertility stuff and they're like done with their family planning, but they have all these embryos left over, right? They can like out of the kindness of their heart match with families that they pick and say like, here, you can have this many embryos, you can have this many embryos, you can have,
That's
and you have to
amazing.
do the whole legal thing and whatever, but it's like a gift of generosity. They don't get paid for it. And then, so we as the family submitted our application. You can kind of say like, here's what we want. Like if you're thinking a certain ethnicity or if you don't care or whatever. And then, yeah, you kind of just like turn in your application and wait and see if you become matched with somebody. And that's what we did. And we got matched and now we have our little girl. So it's like,
Wow.
I carried her, but she wasn't biologically ours.
That's awesome.
Which is actually kind of, I think, any way you can get a baby is fantastic. But sometimes I think that's an even better way, because then it's not like one person has more. Like I'm seeing this a little bit with my partner and her ex-wife. Like my partner carried Oliver, now he's my stepson. And there is a feeling from Maria of, and I hope she doesn't get upset with me saying this, but like she feels a sense of like he's hers in a way that's like he's not, but it's like a thing she's had to grapple with. And even like I'll make jokes. I'm like, God, I'm never having a baby with you. God, like you act like it's like your baby.
I mean, I feel like that though, having carried the kids versus Tom not having carried them.
It's like it's truly nobody. I mean, it's like you share it equally. There's something really beautiful about that. Yeah, and there's not like this person who loves them so much. I mean, if Maria carried what I feel like is mine, I'm really feeling sad. Like I could see where I would much rather do it your way.
Yeah.
For me personally.
I had issues with it in the beginning. It was kind of hard to wrap my brain around just because, I would think about the kid, right? And as they're growing up, like, what do you tell them? You don't have all the answers about like how many siblings they have. Like, not everybody's going to register for like the sibling database kind of thing. And like, as the parent, you want to be like, yeah, I know who your biological siblings are and where they are, but I won't necessarily know all that because I do know there's one full sibling from the original family that donated to us, but I don't know anything else about like half siblings because it was donor eggs. So they're just, being used in a egg bank somewhere. And, unless these kiddos decide to register their information into this database, like I'm not going to have all the answers and that's just going to have to be how it is. Yeah. But, I actually nannied for my friends that I mentioned that did it this way. I nannied for their family. And, once I saw him interacting with them and just how much like this family was meant to be together, it didn't have anything to do with biology. It was like, this was a unit. He was totally equal parts them and his mannerisms and like the way he loves and all of that.
Well, I think though any lesbians out there that would love to have a baby,
totally.
like that is so good to know.
Because I know a lot of people are spending a lot of money to try to figure that stuff out. So
it's good.
Right, and I hate to say that like the clinics are like have bad intentions, but I kind of get the sense that like they want you to just keep going down the route.
They want the pricier
procedures that will make them money. You know? Like I hate to say that, but why didn't anybody mention it to us after like the third
I think
fail,
that's totally true. Okay, so before we wrap up, you mentioned your music.
Yes.
Tell us about what you do and where people can listen to you.
So I am at lindsaywhitemusic.com. Since my band breakup with my ex-partner, I've been doing sort of solo and band stuff, kind of in the songwriting, like folk indie vein. I sing a lot about grief, as you can imagine. I sing a lot about, queer issues and just stuff that's happening to me. So I think a lot of people who have gone down those roads of like coming out or like losing loved ones and that kind of thing could relate to a lot of the music. And I also started a line of journals, which is called Fill-In, after my mom, Fill-In, Jacqueline.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and it was something I did while I was like breastfeeding and nursing in the wee hours of the morning and like couldn't do music stuff yet. I would just like kind of write prompts a few minutes at a time and then, upload the journal. And so now I have 8 journals through that line. It's really cool. And they're also like grief related, queer related, having babies related, just ways to like help people process their feelings because, as a songwriter, a lot of comments I get after shows is like, you said what like I could never articulate, but like you nailed like what I was feeling right on. And I always want to say like, but you can like you can articulate it if you just kind of give yourself the time and space to put it down. It doesn't have to be like some work of art, but you can process it. So yeah, that's
I think
my
that could
creative
help
side.
a lot of people.
Yeah, that could definitely help.
So Lindsay White, and then say that lindsaywhite.com, did you say, or Lindsay White Music?
Lindsaywhitemusic.com. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, it'll send out links to every other place that I am on the interwebs.
Excellent.
Okay.
I love it.
Very cool.
Yeah. Lindsay, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm glad it worked out.
For sure. Have a good one.
Want to support the Lesbian Chronicles podcast? Rate us and write a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify.
We love listener feedback. If you'd like to share your story, email us at melissaandallie@gmail.com. That's Melissa, MELISA, and Allie, ALLI, @gmail.com. Or follow us on Instagram at Lesbian Chronicles.